How's it going, everyone? Before here, welcome to Heliopolis Radio. Today, we've been fortunate to be joined by Cathy Nesbitt. She is the founder of Cathy's Composters, Cathy's Sprouters, and her very own Cathy's Laughter Club. Thank you so much, Cathy, for joining us. And why don't you start up by telling us a bit about yourself? What is it that you do? And what other things have you been doing in your life outside of composting, or teaching people how to compost, developing methods and how to do it, and also the laughter yoga? I think that was a very, very loaded question, but you can break it down however you want.
I got it. I can do anything because you gave me lots to pick from. Hi, everybody. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. My working title is Cathy Crawley Laughing Bean Queen, and I offer simple solutions for today's challenges: worms for composting, so creating better soil; sprouts for eating, grow your own; and laughter for overall health and wellness. And I'm located in Canada, and I started my beautiful worm composting business in 2002. So
Wow.
it's the 22nd anniversary of my worm business. Wow. When I say that, I just think, oh my gosh, like where does the time go, first of all? Like it's
Yeah.
speeding by. And wow, that which I think is part of my message is, like act today, do what you want to do today because the time goes by, someday never comes.
Hmm.
So you best do it today.
Wow. Thank you so much. I mean, 2002 was a completely different world. Just even thinking about it now, you started it just when I think 9/11 had just happened. The economy was shifting. The whole world was different now. Fast forward, we're here 2024, and it's a completely different world. And I can imagine the evolution of your business from that time to this time. And, as you say, I can only imagine it's been quite the journey. So I wanted to actually start by asking, why laughter is medicine? What does laughter do for you in particular?
Well, ever heard that laughter is the best medicine?
I have through very funny parables or stories.
Right? Yeah. So laughter is the best medicine. People around the world say this expression, and in 2020, I took a deep dive into that expression. Why? Because we had all that time to think. Haha, not funny. It's funny
No,
now.
no,
Um,
it was actually hilarious. So you couldn't do anything. No, I agree I agree with you on that one.
well, I won't go on to a side tangent right now, but yeah, so laughter is the best medicine. And the next question that I ask is, have you had your daily dose? Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. These are the love drugs, the happy chemicals. And when we're laughing, that's what we're secreting. Our body is awash in those beautiful happy chemicals. So we literally feel better versus cortisol and adrenaline when we're stressed. And we're stressed all the time. We live in this very um, uncertain time, I would say, and every time is uncertain. Every time that we're living in is uncertain because we don't know what's coming next.
Mm. No, true,
Right? So,
true.
right? And stress, the challenge with stress, when the stress center in our brain, the amygdala, has not evolved since prehistoric times.
Mm.
So at that time, we needed to know that we were in danger. We're not in imminent danger. If we lose our keys or miss the bus, it's a nuisance, but it's not life threatening.
Mm.
Our body acts as if it is. So we're awash in all of those stress hormones. Our body's not like we're not breathing properly. And it takes hours for us to recover from that. If we can manage our stress, we can manage our life. It sounds really simple wherever we are. We have a lot of things going on. Um, and there's war and there's famine and there's pandemics. There's all
Mm.
these things happening all at once. It's amazing that we're still standing.
Mm. It's a
It's like, oh,
miracle.
they're still standing. Let's throw something else at them.
No, it's a miracle. In actual fact, that's very true. It's a miracle just to be somewhat sane and whole in today's world. It's really a gift and a blessing that a lot of us take for granted, truly, especially considering
It
how things can be.
Right? And people often say, "Oh, if I had time, I would do a hobby or I would learn a language or I would whatever it is, I would volunteer, whatever it is that they said they would do if they had time, if they weren't working so hard and busy. So then I say, we had a couple of years. Did you
Mm,
do that thing? Did you
mm,
do the thing that you said you were going to do? Like, did you learn the language? Did you do the hop? Did you well, you couldn't volunteer, everything was shut. Right? But the challenge is during that 2 years when we were shut down, we were so stressed. And when we're stressed, we're really paralyzed. We can't function.
mm,
So when we're in fear, that's where we're living. Our body is again awash in those chemicals, and we can't function. That's the main thing. So laughter frees us. It's not, you know, it's not about talking about our problems. Talk therapy is probably a fine thing, but with laughter, we can laugh, come to be totally present, and um, come up with more solutions. Again, back to our brain. Our brain requires 25% more oxygen than the rest of our body as an operating principle. When
mhm,
we're stressed, we're not breathing properly, so our body doesn't get what it needs. For sure, our brain isn't. So laughter, when we're laughing, we're exhaling. So we have to, like, we can't just ha ha ha. We have
mm,
to take a deep breath in so we can continue ha ha ha. So it's a wonderful way for our body to naturally oxygenate our brain, get a wash of those happy chemicals, and come up with more creative solutions.
and I was actually going to ask you, have you heard the story of the three laughing monks by any chance?
I have, yes, I have.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I thought I'd ask because I found that when, in actual fact, I came across it when I was really having a bad day. I don't remember when it was, but after seeing that story, it was quite the reflection of the human dilemma. We're here for such a short period of time. We take everything we have and we own so seriously. Yet those monks spent their entire lives in total laughter, knowing that they never let the madness of the world touch them one bit. And I found that quite amazing. It's a beautiful story. So when you mentioned you use laughter as medicine, that was actually the first thing that came to mind. Uh,
Right? So beautiful. There was during the pandemic, there was a video that came out. It was the Global Joy Summit, I'm going to say. And it was a beautiful video about Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama. How these two gentlemen from opposite sides of the world, very different socioeconomic status, who came together and they were like little boys laughing together. And that's what that video is about. And it was so beautiful how they shared how even in these challenging times, we must laugh, we must
mm,
experience joy so that we can keep functioning.
Incredible. No, that's very true. Very true. I'm in 100% agreement on that one. And so I know this is kind of a switch on the topic, but worm casting and its importance. So when did you realize the value of worm casting?
So let me go back to the beginning of my business. So I'm located in Canada, just north of Toronto, largest city in Canada. And
Hmm.
in 2002, our landfill closed. It filled up. And although we're a pretty large country, second largest in the world, we couldn't find a place to site a new landfill. So we
Mm.
started to export our garbage to the United States. Yay, good for us.
Wow.
Shame on us. No, really, it's not funny. It's ridiculous. You know, and at that time it was 1,000, almost 1,000 trucks a week,
Sheesh.
like 200 trucks a day, like honking semis, like 18 wheelers making their way from Canada to the US. Wow. And it's mind-boggling when I think of it. I still say it all this time. 22 years I've been saying that because it's the truth. And I had a solution. It hurts my heart when I think of it. Like, shame on us as Canadians for shipping our garbage out of the country. Like, bye-bye,
Mm.
garbage. And I say double shame on the Americans for accepting our garbage for cash.
Mm.
And not the people. I'm not shaming any of the people. It's the government, right?
And
The
you,
decision makers.
sorry to interrupt. And I actually saw a video of people in the Philippines, if I recall. It's a whole network of just it goes to one place and they pay someone else. And so I was seeing these beaches and everything with just crazy amounts of garbage and governments having sold out their natural environment to as a refuse disposal for someone. I was like, wow, um, crazy world we live in, isn't it?
It's a crazy world. It's a really like we're shipping all this garbage. We ship our stuff like even our like livestock gets shipped to China so they
Mm,
can process it and then it gets shipped back. It's just like, what? Who
mm,
are we? What is the matter with us? And yes, there are toxic dumps of electronic waste. Like that's a whole nother topic, but because there's so many wonderful components in in that e-waste that it gets shipped, I think, well, probably different parts, but to places in India. And
mm,
then like you said in the Philippines, mountains of garbage. So this is mountains of e-waste that's highly toxic. And then people taking out the copper wire or taking out,
mm,
the components that they can use again. Wow. And then those people are getting sick and they don't have a safety net. Like the people are disposable. It's just it's really shocking the place that we're in. Okay,
mm.
so back to the hopeful solution of worms.
Mhm.
Instead of going down that rabbit hole of we're doomed, I don't believe we are. I believe that there is hope, and that's where we need to live. I really believe that we need to live in that hopeful glass half full world. Otherwise, we're crying in the corner
Mm,
and we're not functioning right. We're totally stressed. We're so afraid that we can't even come up with anything. So 2002, our landfill closed. We started to export our garbage. I don't have any business background. I do now, 20 years. I'm still standing, so that's pretty good. I just had an idea, and anyone that's listening, if you're like, I have a solution for a big problem, go for it. The world needs you right now. Don't hold back. Don't wait till everything's perfect. Don't wait till all your ducks in a row. Because if you look in nature, ducks are only in a row for a moment, and then they and then they flock off.
Uh,
Thank you for
very funny.
laughing. So we need to if I think when an idea comes to us and we get inspired, we're like, oh, I'm going to do that. Whatever it is, it might not be a business. It might just be something, a holiday you want to go on or something you want to do. We get that idea. If we don't take action, that idea passes like a cloud and we forget all about it. We were inspired. We're like, oh my gosh, that's a great thing. And then, I don't know, we get on with our day or we talk ourselves out of it or we tell someone, they're like, oh, remember last time. So we need to just take a step. So I did. I quit my job.
Wow.
I started my business knowing. So, I mean, there's a backstory to that as well. I didn't just start and quit my job, but I did a little bit of research. What I realized was people were afraid of worms. I would have my booth because when I was researching the worms, the red wiggler worms eat half their weight per day in
Mm,
food scraps. They turn garbage into black gold so we can grow more nutrient-rich food. They are
mm,
the original alchemists, turning something that we're not crazy about, we want to ship it away into something we can use. I can't talk about the rest of the world, but North America, we have destroyed our soil. We
mm,
just spray chemicals. We do monocropping, meaning corn, wheat, and soy,
mm.
acres and acres of the same crop. That's not how nature intended. We need biodiversity. We need the different crops.
Permaculture.
Because we need permaculture. That's it. We need everybody. We need all the players. We need all the different plants. So then if a pest comes in, it doesn't wipe out the whole thing.
Mm, no, agreed.
And
Agreed.
right. So our crops now are chemical. They're addicted to the chemicals. We need those chemicals because the soil is broken.
Mm,
What I'm proposing is fixing the soil. That wasn't my goal in the start. My goal was I started my business as a waste management tool so we could stop exporting all of that garbage to the US. At least part of it, not all the plastic and stuff, but at least all the organic matter.
mm,
Um, And I realized as I set up my booth, I would have a table and people would come up, hey, what do you have here? And when I said I had worms, then I would trigger people. If they were traumatized as a child after a rainy day or a fishing incident, somebody chased them around with a worm, I don't know, something happened as a child. that goes into your body. And if you don't deal with it as an adult, now you're still afraid, but you don't know why. So when somebody says, "Hey, you should have worms in your house," you're like, "Oh, no, I don't know why, but I don't want that."
Mm,
So that's what I was up against was people's fear. And I do have a psych degree, so I'm a psychology degree, so I'm fascinated by people.
mm,
And I'm curious why people do what they do. Um, and when I started my business, my goal was to put worms in every living space, worms in every house, worms in every apartment, worms in every classroom, every business, worms everywhere. So you're eating your apple, and then when you have your apple core, you're like, oh, where's the worm bin? You just put it in, and the
mm.
worms look after it. That was my goal. I thought in 20 years, everyone would have worms, not in their body, but in their house. um, the worms are the challenging part of a worm business. People say, this is so great. What a great idea. This is so good. But then when they maybe miss the part about worms in the house. So in Canada, we have winter. So they'll say, what do we do with worms in the winter? Where do we? And I say, no, they're in the house year round. And then they're like, oh. So I realized early on, okay, this isn't, how am I going to do this? So I started to take on school workshops. And I'm so honored or proud to say that I've educated over 75,000 students because I realize I need to get to the kids because they don't
Mm,
have the fear yet. They're not
mm.
afraid
Very
yet.
true.
They're open, like, oh, and they love the idea. They love being hands-on with the worms. And I've had the privilege of knowing we make a difference where every day, every time we smile at someone or we say hello or we have a fight with someone, we're interacting with people, we're affecting people. We don't always know the impact that we've had. I've had the privilege of knowing that I've made an impact. And that is, I do a lot of displays. I exhibit a lot. I talk a lot. And I was at a show and somebody came up to me and said, Cathy, you came into my grade 3 class. And because of, I don't know, I can't remember if they said because of you or because we had worms in the class. I took environmental studies at university and I'm going to be an environmental lawyer. Like
Wow.
now I'm an advocate for the planet.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So we just need to stay on the bright side, keep on doing what we're meant to do, keep on walking our path, and be hopeful because the steps that we take, the actions that we make, they matter. They matter.
And so the question I was going to ask in terms of people applying worm casting within their own households, how would that impact environmental sustainability?
Ah, wonderful. Yes. So the worms convert this garbage into black gold. So worms are going to play an ever increasing role in waste management, soil production, and food security. Like
Hmm.
three key elements in that little worm. So beautiful. What an important role it's playing. But people are afraid of it. Yikes. So the worm cat. So compost is great. Compost is wonderful. Worm compost is even great. It's more processed by nature. Each
Hmm.
little casting, which is a worm poo, like a little individual worm poo, fancy word, is encased in gel. So each little casting is like a time release capsule. The
Hmm.
earth takes from it as it needs it, and it's plant ready food. So the plants and the worm
Ah,
compost
yeah.
have this symbiotic relationship. When we put the castings in on the earth, the plants take it up and it goes right into the plant, and it creates this wonderful immune system for the soil. I do a lot of comparison between what the worms are providing for the earth and how we can look after our bodies. So when we have a strong immune system, when
Hmm.
we're healthy and we're in good shape, if somebody beside us is sick, they might sneeze or something, they have a cold. Um, we probably won't get it, like because our immune system is so strong. Or if we get it, we'll get it less because we're so strong. Same
Hmm.
with the earth. The pathogens are always in the soil, but they can't get to those roots. if the system is really healthy, if you got that biodiversity, you have the good microbes, the
Mm,
pathogens are there, but they're like, oh, look at that good root over there. Try to get
mm,
there, but they can't get there because the system is blocking it. They're
mm.
consumed by the good bacteria in a simplified way. So
Wow.
when we're adding, yeah, so when we're adding that casting in, it's water soluble, so it's non-toxic.
Mm.
It doesn't harm anything.
Unlike the
And
pellets that you typically find, those hard pellets that really stay in the soil for God knows how long, and they don't really do much for the plants in the end. So no, I hear you on that one, definitely.
right, and the chemicals are not natural. Those chemical engineers are super smart. They're doing a job, and they're
Mm,
doing a great job. We need them. Their job is to create chemicals that, to kill the bugs. Anything that has a side at the end means death.
mm,
Pesticide, herbicide, fungicide.
mm,
And they don't target just one thing. It's not like, oh, let's get that, whatever the weevil that's eating the corn or whatever it is. You spray it on there and then sure it kills that particular bug, but wipes out everything.
mm,
Again, back to our own body. When we have a something and the doctor prescribes antibiotic, it's going to kill that bug, but it's going to wipe out your microbiota, which
mm,
is your whole floral system in your body. We're more bugs than we are people,
mm,
and people hate that. Like we're more bacteria because marketing works. So we see all these ads, at least in North America, we have all these ads on television about, spraying this thing so you can wipe out all the things so you can be healthy in your house.
mm.
When we spray any chemicals in our house, like stop it, everyone. Like the air freshener, like to open the window.
Fair
Like
point.
spray a scent. Stop it.
Fair point. No, I agree with you on that one. My thinking, or at least I guess what I've come to understand is always practicality and people being active and disciplined enough to do that, to move that route, to feed the worms, to look after them, to cultivate them, to manage the soil. I think we live in a world which really has negated administration. So we don't want to, when it comes to doing anything that requires a bit of admin, we just don't want to do it. It's too time consuming. Um, do you feel that the way the world is going now, people in general will need to become much more hands down with how they handle the environment, more particularly their food source and their food supply?
Absolutely. And you said it. We are all about convenience and we don't want to change something and, oh, I want to get my hands dirty. Here's the thing. There are antidepressant microbes in the soil. But in order to benefit from that's why gardeners are so happy. In order to benefit from those microorganisms in the soil, you got to touch the soil. And here's another beautiful piece about when we're gardening, when we're growing our own food, we're not wasting that food. We worked hard to grow
Mm,
that tomatoes or that zucchini or whatever we're growing. We worked hard. We watered it. We weeded it. We spent time with it. We watched it grow. And so when it comes time for that to eat, we're definitely eating it. Unlike when we go to the grocery store, we'll buy all kinds of stuff with the intention of making a salad. But when we put it, we say in the crisper, the bottom part in the fridge, that's where the vegetables go to die. Because we're so busy, we're like,
yeah,
oh, darn, I had intended to make a salad this week, and then I got so busy, and now it's worm food.
no, that's true. We're definitely ignorant in that sense because, again, like you mentioned, the whole aspect of seeing and observing something grow, it brings a greater degree of appreciation, and you are more inclined to look after something that way. And actually, so speaking of growth, you started your own business, you started your own wellness workshop. What was that process like, and how did you cultivate the dedication and the patience necessary to kind of go through the process and maintaining your enthusiasm, your healthy systems enthusiasm, and also handling all the practical life matters in quotation marks?
Yeah. Oh, great question. Thank you. We have one life to live. So, I again, when we get a divine idea, and I believe that the worm idea was given to me,
Mm,
and it was my responsibility. I really believe that's why I was put on earth to be the talking worm, to be to be the head worm. I mean, maybe not that wasn't the plan, but that's how I interpreted it. And so when you when you're on it, I have to tell you, it wasn't easy at the beginning for sure. Very, very hard. Again, going against all the people's fear of worms. A worm business is much more challenging than, say, a coffee business or
mm.
something that people are addicted to and use every day.
True, true, true.
Right? I think when you're on purpose, I think, there's that expression, do what you love and the money will come. That there's truth to that, and you do have to work hard. I mean, you work and you put in the effort and trust. I think trust is a big part of it. Find people that are supportive of your mission. Don't go to the naysayers, the people that are always tearing you down, that maybe even family at the beginning. Like 20 years in, my family's all in now. They're like, oh, we knew you could do it. But, 20 years ago, it's like, come on, just get a job. Why are you working so hard for this? And because it matters, because what I believe, what I'm doing really matters. We need this more than ever, and we need this globally.
Mm,
And when we slow down, when we're again back to gardening, when we are in the garden, we're not on our technology. I don't even have a cell phone. I'll just drop that in. And I don't know that it would be possible today. I'm 61 now. So I'm in a different phase of my life.
mm.
So I don't feel like I need to be attached. I do have a landline. I have a computer, obviously, so people can reach me, but not 24/7. Like you can't reach me when I'm out on a walk.
Wow.
But what I want to say about gardening, we're so fast, and I don't know. Someone said we have the attention span of a goldfish now, like 7 seconds. We need to slow down. We need to just slow right down, take a breath, one step at a time. What are we rushing for? It's not a race. And we need to just row our own boat. Instead of trying to compare ourselves over there, like social media has us looking at everybody else and what they're doing. We're looking at people's highlight reel.
Mm,
Like these are people's like, oh, look at me. Here I am on vacation. Oh, here I am over
mm.
here. I took 1,000 selfies, and here's the only one that was good out of all those 1,000 pictures that I took.
No, that's very true. That's very, very, very true.
Like we're comparing all the time. We just need to like, what do I want? What do I really, really want? And go after that. And I'm not saying to be selfish. We need to think of this as a collective, as going together. We are in this together. You want something different than me. Like maybe, you look on social media, maybe your friend got a boat or something. I don't know, just as an example. I don't even like boats, but now I want a boat. Like, oh, Joe has a boat. I want a boat. I don't want a boat, but Joe has one, so I should have one. I think that's what social media does, is makes us think that we want things that we don't even want.
That's very, very insightful and true. And I think you reach that revelation because you're actually detached from it. You're observing it from afar and you're not caught up in the actual dopamine inducing experience of it, scrolling, seeing, and does to your mind. That's very true. And thank you for bringing that up. And I was gonna just need to double check on this one. Your workshop. I know that you host a laughter workshop. Are these predominantly virtual, and do these extend to people outside of North America?
Absolutely, yes. So let me talk about how laughter came about. I believe I have this mission work of the worms, of raising awareness about the value of these beautiful creatures. And in 2012, I'd heard so many hundreds of times, maybe thousands of times, ooh, worms in the house. And I wasn't listening. You know, Business 101 is pay attention to what your clients want. And they didn't
Mhm.
want worms, but I didn't care. I was like, no, you need them. In 2012, one more person said, ew, worms in the house. and I felt it. I heard it. I finally was listening, and I started to question everything. I'm very fast. I get an idea and I run with it.
Mm,
I don't think about it. I say yes to opportunities,
mm,
because we think ourselves out of stuff. An
mm-hmm.
opportunity might come our way, but then we're like, oh, let me think about it. And then you're like, oh no, yeah, right. You just decide that you can't do it, which doesn't give you another opportunity, right? I would say be open to opportunities and say yes, and then figure it out.
Wow.
That's how you live an amazing life, is by being open to opportunities that you go, oh my God, I'm scared. I don't know what to do here. And that's good. Because then when you're scared, that's where the magic is on the outside. It's on the other side of that fear. When you're like, ooh, when you're feeling like, ooh, I don't know what to do. When if you can stay in your safe box. You can go back and you can retreat and go, no, I'm going to stay here. I know what I got here. Or you can plow through. Perhaps you're going to fail. That's all right. It's just a learning. It's just a little, you tripped. So what? You got back up. That's the secret again to a magic life, is falling down. How many times are you going to fall down? As long as you get back up again, you're still winning. Okay, so one more person said who worms in the house. All these long stories. There's no short story, by the way. I'm Chatty Cathy. So I questioned everything, and I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I should just get a job. No, this has to work. I don't want a job. And the very next day I was introduced to laughter yoga. And I don't even do yoga. I know yoga's a fine thing. I jumped right
Mm.
to the fun yoga. Laughter laughter yoga is not doing yoga and laughing. It's laughing as an exercise. So the yoga part of laughter yoga is the deep diaphragmatic breathing and the
Mm-hmm.
practice of the laughter.
Mm-hmm.
And my laughter club. So I didn't have, I was getting paid gigs to go into long-term care, laughing with folks with different dementias, because it's not jokes or comedy, it's laughing, laughing as an exercise. It's like music. It reminds us, we remember. Like when you work with folks with that have Alzheimer's or different forms of dementia, when you play music from their era, they were like, say from the 30s or something, they remember that, the big bands, and then they'll start bopping around. They might even start singing the songs even though they're nonverbal now. They start singing the words because they go into a whole different, that goes into a different part of their brain. So laughter is a magic, it's magic, it's a magic potion. um, and so 2020, all that time to think, locked in my house. And I said, okay, now's the time for my laughter club. And I
Wow.
started my laughter club June 2020 because I needed it. And I get around 20 or 25 people a week from around the world, not the
Wow.
same people. It's free. My laughter club is free.
Wow.
It's 30 minutes of super fun self-care, coming on 4 years. And it's my gift to the world. I love it. It's good for me because I needed it, and it's my offering to the world. Like, come and play, no obligation. You're not in a funnel. I don't email you. I don't bug you like, oh, you should sign up for this or that, or you should pay me. If you want to pay me, I'm always open to cash, but but this is really my offering. So I incorporate tapping. Have you heard of emotional freedom technique, tapping on the
Uh,
meridians?
I've seen people do it. I'm just not 100% familiar with it, but I know I have heard it and seen, I think that once.
So tapping is, oh, it's a beautiful thing. I've been tapping since 1999. I was introduced to it, and I'm so happy. It's sort of becoming mainstream. What tapping is it's like acupuncture without needles.
Mm,
So you're just tapping on various spots, acupressure points. There is a mantra, but in my club, I just tap on four spots, mostly stomach. Well, it doesn't matter. I tap on four spots, and that's just so tapping, laughter goes with everything. So I incorporate the tapping, which is a great way for us to get over pain or
mm,
any challenges that we're having in our body. They're just blocks. Energy is just block. Emotions are some bad, not good or bad, like just not negative even. Emotions are just emotions. Like if we're
mm,
angry, it's not good or bad. It's just an emotion. It's just energy. That's what emotion is. It's just energy in motion. And so the tapping helps move those emotions along so they don't get stuck in our body. Back to a traumatic incident, and we've all had them. They can be big or small, it doesn't really matter. We've all experienced stuff. And when we have a traumatic thing, something happens to us, we take an inhale, we go, and
Mm,
sometimes we keep that in our body. Like we'll all take tripping just as an instance. We're walking along the street and then we trip and we fall and we jump up like, oh, we're so embarrassed that we fell.
mm,
And people are like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And we're like, no, no, I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm fine. But really, like we broke our ankle or something. But we're like,
mm,
I'm fine.
mm,
And that trauma, that's really seems like insignificant, but it gets in our body. And then the next one comes along and it goes on top and on top. So we're like this layer cake in our body.
mm,
When in nature, animals, I'll use rabbits. So if a rabbit is chased by a predator, if it happens to escape, because they're pretty good, the rabbits know their way around. If the rabbit happens to survive that incident, they'll go in a spot and they shake. Deers will do the same. All animals will shake to get that trauma out, just to get it out of their body. And then they're like, okay, good. Oh, I'm hungry, time to eat. So then they'll get on with their day. We don't shake. We hold on to that trauma for whatever reason. So now we need to shake that trauma out. Sometimes in a laughter club. So you asked about if my laughter was online or in person. I do, the online club is open for everybody. And I do get people from South Africa.
wow. No, that's nice.
Right?
That's nice.
Yeah, it's 9:30 a.m. Eastern. So I think that's 3:30. Is that 3:30 your time?
9:30 a.m. Eastern time. That is four or five around our time. 4 or 5.
Yeah, okay, yeah, because it's 10 after 9
Yeah,
now
four
in
or
the
five.
mornings.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yeah, right. So it's kind of a nice time to come and giggle, or a possible time. It's not middle of the night. Um, yeah, so it's 30 minutes of super fun self-care. So tapping, brain gym, qigong. I incorporate all these modalities. My goal is just to help people get out of stress. Because when we're in stress, that's where we're living. I want people to care about the planet, Mufaro, but if when you're in a mental crisis, that's where you are. You can't function. You
Mm,
can't care about your neighbor because you're
mm,
you're you're not okay.
mm,
So laughter just helps free us up. It doesn't take the problem away, but it helps us deal better. Like our brain, back to our brain, right? It's the answering machine, 25% more oxygen. When we're stressed, we're not breathing. So our brain cannot come up with solution. If you've ever misplaced your keys or your phone or your glasses, right? And you're like, I gotta go. Where are they? Where did I put them?
mm.
You're never gonna find them. Like your brain knows where they are, but it can't help you. It's literally being deprived of oxygen. And your oxygen now, like everything's going into your muscles so you can escape.
Um, Kathy is somewhat of a, you're quite a holistic expert. I think
Thank you.
your knowledge extends well beyond what you actually do, and the fact that
Mm,
you offer it freely, I truly commend you for that, for what it's worth. Um, and so I was actually going to
thank you.
ask, how can people reach out to you? What means and what mediums of communication? Because I know you mentioned you don't use a cell phone, so that is that throws
Don't
quite a lot
messenger
of
me.
that throws a lot away. But is there a way for people to contact you? Perhaps they want to reach out if they want to learn more about how to actually get worm composting going, or like you mentioned, I think we're all in a series of stressful times, each individual. And so maybe just coming to a laughter club can really make the difference in someone's day. So if there are people that do tune into this podcast, how can they reach out to you?
Yes. So, well, email is always probably the best option since I don't have texting and all of those other options. Phone would be astronomical price. So, uh, yeah. So Cathy at cathysclub.com and my worm website is Cathy, what is it? Cathyscomposters.com. Cathysclub.com is my worm website. And I'm also a laughter yoga teacher. So I teach people how to do this laughter medicine, like how they can lead it at their business or in their school, in their community. Um, we need laughter more than ever. This is a global movement. Laughter yoga was started in 1995 by a medical doctor, Dr. Madan Kataria, and his goal is world peace. Can you imagine? World peace. What an incredible mission. And I feel so blessed to have encountered laughter yoga in 2012. So I've been laughing since 2012, really laughing since 2020. And now I'm helping other people laugh too. And so yeah, so I'm so grateful for the opportunity to share my message here. Thank you.
No, I like that statement. I've been laughing since 2012, laughing even more since 2020. Very, very good turn over there. No, Cathy, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing so much. You really have a certain element of freedom that I think people don't have the courage to strive for simply because they don't have the tools. And I think today you shared those tools quite openly and with such a level of generosity. I truly thank you for coming onto the show and giving. Obviously, this is a small podcast, but I know that those people that do tune in, you never know what state of mind someone is when they listen. And it could be the difference between a really good day and a very bad day. So I think hearing it from you, who's accumulated this amount of wisdom over this period of time, there's a certain level of comfort. You go online and you see all the young, self-help. It's all energy. It's all, adrenaline. It's all sorts of nonsense sometimes. But I think your approach is much more in tune with nature, how God has designed it for us. It's a simple process, probably what we need more than anything else right now, especially with the challenges that we have. So I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much for coming onto the show. It'd be great to have you on again. And yeah, just want to thank you.
I would love it. Just on that, I think that it took time for me to get here. For people who looking at me, oh, look at her, she's got it all going on. Remember, I'm 61. It took time. I want people to understand that you don't have to wait. Life is not meant to be a struggle.
Mm,
It is not. If you're struggling, if you're like, I want that thing, it's not always a straight path.
mm.
You got to go around boulders or up over a hill, and you got to decide, is that really what I want? But know that joy is our birthright, and we're not meant to struggle. So whatever you can do to get some joy, go get it, because then other stuff will open up for you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks so much, Kathy. Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.